Witchblade, Fathom, Soulfire, Superman and Batman, just a few titles that we're blessed to have a talent such as Michael Turner pencil pages for in the 90s and early 2000s. Today, we honor him and his work. Hello everyone, Steve from Cantu Comics here. The 90s and early 2000s were a great time for comic book artwork. Image Comics was full steam ahead, and print runs were over hundreds of thousands. This was also a time of overly sexy female characters and ridiculously buff males. One man making a name for himself and quickly rising up the popularity charts was Michael Turner. He was discovered by Marc Silvestri in the late 90s. I recall a touching story Marc said in 2008 when I attended the Michael Turner Memorial Panel at Comic-Con. He said after he discovered Michael and had him at Top Gal for an art test, he tasked him to draw out a city skyline. When Marc came back after an hour to see his progress, Mike nervously showed out his drawing. Marc flat out said, "It looks like a lump of bread," and asked what his reference was. Michael said, "I've never used references before." And then Marc just pretty much just laughed him off and said, "Man, of course you can use reference images. We all use them." He then showed him some material of some New York architecture, and then after about another hour, Marc swung by, his jaw just literally dropped, and he had to do a double take. Marc then said, "It was beautiful, incredible, more than I would have possibly expected from a seasoned professional." And then he asked him flat out, "Where did this come from?" Michael humbly said, "Well, no one ever told me to look at a picture before." That's just wow, man. That's just incredible that simply using reference material made such a huge difference in his art. I know for myself, I like to look at references before I design, but sometimes you don't have time, but man, it really helps, especially when you have a creative block. Going back to the memorial that I attended, people in the audience were encouraged to come up to say some words or share a story. I remember someone walked up, whom I didn't recognize nor remember his name, who said that he worked briefly at Top Cow and distinctly remembered playing Halo death matches during the off hours there. He said that every time he was playing with Michael, he would always just get slaughtered, and he was clearly the best Halo player in the studio, and he would get very competitive and trash talk everybody. I guess it's pretty similar to how I get when I'm playing Tekken. I deliberately select the crappiest characters just to gloat when I just destroy my opponent. Yeah, what's up? The start of Michael's professional career in the comics industry started right after Marc had discovered him. With Michael on board, Marc and the Top Cow gang would go on to create Witchblade. The main character, Sarah Pezzini, would quickly become associated with Michael Turner's iconic artwork. When she donned the Witchblade on her arm and transformed, her provocatively clad appearance became very iconic with Michael's style, and that really catapulted and shaped his career. While he was still at Top Cow, he created his own story, Fathom, which became an instant success. He was at the top of the world until in the 2000s, he was diagnosed with cancer that wreaked havoc on his pelvis, basically destroying his hip and 40% of his pelvis. He underwent radiation for 9 months. He did recover, and then 2 years later, he started his own studio called Aspen MLT. This company was a lifelong dream of his, but wasn't able to publish any books for a year as he was kind of undergoing this legal battle with Top Cow over the rights for Fathom and some of his other characters that he had concepted while employed there. It eventually was settled out of court, and Michael was then free to start publishing his own books. His studio was a talk of the town that gathered attention from Marvel and DC as they commissioned him to draw covers and runs for a huge slate of their upcoming books. The iconic ones that really stood out were the ones for Identity Crisis and the Superman Godfall series run. As cover art is the first thing customers see before picking up a book, his dynamic and incredible compositions were the big draw to the books. Similar to now how books with Art Germ or Peach Momoko covers are just selling like hotcakes, Michael was that guy in the 2000s. Michael and Aspen Comics were full steam ahead, until cancer reared its ugly head back into Mike's life. He would continue to battle with it on and off for years, all the while still attending comic conventions and meeting with fans and everything, until unfortunately he passed away June 27th, 2008 in Santa Monica. Fathom Volume 3 Number 1, which was published in August 2008, featured a stylized blue ribbon in the upper right-hand corner of the cover as a tribute to Turner, and the first page was a full-blown memorial for him. While he was alive, I was fortunate to have met him a couple times and have him sign copies of some of the books that I cherish very much, and I would like to share them with you right now. So the first book that I would like to share is Fathom Number 1. So this copy here, this is the Wizard World exclusive. So this was the Wizard World convention that happened right when Fathom Number 1 dropped. So obviously back then in the 90s, they had like 50, variants for each number 1. But then I think they had maybe 8 or 9. And then this one in particular was the first one that was released. And that was the first convention that really unveiled Fathom. So I didn't have this book, when it first came out. I purchased this, but when I did see Michael at one of the conventions, I think it was in either 2004 or so, where I have these other books signed. It was the same group of people from Aspen Comics. So this was part of that pile of books that I brought to have them sign. And obviously, because they were just kind of fresh off of, the Top Cow's little legal situation that they had. So they kind of like scoffed at me a little bit when I showed them this book. But I mean, I did have the other DC books and stuff with me. So they all just kind of looked at it like, they just passed it along. And then Mike just kind of raised his eyebrow, but he gladly signed it. It is Fathom. This is his creation. I cherish this book. And out of all the other number 1s that I have, this is the one that I wanted him to sign. So he gladly signed it, after the eyebrow raise. So the next book I have is Superman Batman number 8. So I believe this was the first issue of Jeff Loeb and Michael Turner taking over Superman and Batman. So this one I have it signed by both Michael Turner and also Peter Steigerwald. So he's a great colorist. Like he's amazing. And I've seen him. He's really fast. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Like I'm sure with a lot of experience and just doing it so many times, it's just it's second nature to him. But yeah, this is a very nice book. So these next ones here, this is all from that Superman Godfall run. So this was the first one of the series. I believe there was 5 or 6 books in that run. I only have, looks like 5 of them here, so I think I'm missing one, but this, I believe, was the first one. So this one was also signed by pretty much the entire team. So we have Michael Turner, I believe Talent Caldwell did the inside pages, and the colors, so we had Peter Steigerwald, I believe he did the colors for the cover, and then there was Christina Strain, she colored the inside pages, and the inker, I believe his name was Jason Gorder. So basically the entire team, this was during the same signing where I also had that Fathom book. So all of them were in a row, and then they all signed this book. And obviously when Fathom was there, they just passed it along. They're like, nope, I didn't work on this. So yeah, that's this one here. And then the next one, this one is Superman 202. So again, signed by the same creative team. So all, I believe, yes, 1, 2, 3, yep, the same amount of signatures, 5 signatures here. So another book from that same run. And another one, this is Superman, Adventures of Superman 625. Part of the same run. They basically bled it over. It was Action Comics, Superman, and Adventures of Superman. So they went across, I believe it's 2 issues in each, so yes, that made 6. So again, this was the same team. All the signatures are here from the entire team that worked on it. And I believe this might be the final issue of that run, or the one right before. Or I think the one I'm missing is probably the final issue. Again, same signatures, the same team I mentioned before, they're all on this one. It's a really nice, Superman ripping off to show his iconic original suit. And then this book, I forgot the character's name, but she was just kind of like the villain. She's just kind of like taking Superman away from Lois. So she was a little sinister. It's a long time since I read this, so I don't remember exactly what her story was, but I really love this cover, like the white background and this character just like, obviously she's trying to be seductive, and she basically took his cape, just showing that, that she's got soups, but yeah, same creative team signed. Have that here. The really cool thing is on this one, I have the big lithograph. So I will show that to you right now. All right, here we go. Here's the litho. So this is that same cover right here. Well, bam. So I wish this was the originals, but this is just a lithographic print. So this is also signed by Michael Turner and Peter Stargeweld. This right here, I mean, it looks amazing full blown. I mean, this is a 1-for-1 size of the original 11x17 panel. So I think the full bleed here is a 19x13 because it fits in my portfolio book perfectly. But I had this on my wall for a long time. And my wife, she was just tired of looking at it. So eventually, to avoid being in the doghouse, I was like, okay, I'll take this picture down. And then that solved everything. But yeah, I mean, I still love it. It's very iconic. And it's a great cover. Obviously, Michael Turner has passed away. You're not going to see this kind of stuff ever again. But yeah, it's fantastic. I have more books by Michael Turner and the Aspen crew, but these particular ones have more sentimental value due to me interacting with the team and having them sign them personally. So, do you have any fond memories of Michael Turner? Don't forget to comment, like this video, and hit the subscribe button for more original comic book and art content. This is Steve from Cow and Aspen Comics, signing off.